Chess YouTube, today I have for you a legendary battle played between Magnus Carlsen, the greatest chess player of all time, and the young French sensation Alireza Firouzja. Now, in this game, Alireza, on move 10, he leaves Magnus in a state of total and complete shock by sacrificing his knight out of literally nowhere. This position is well known, but this move here, 10, knight to b5, has virtually never been seen before in the history of the game, making it arguably a brand new opening idea. Now, Magnus Carlsen, despite being in total shock over this disrespectful knight sack, he claws back into the game with a series of extremely precise and powerful moves, leading to an ending that is just so shocking, I can't even say it right here. You have to watch till the end to see it for yourself. Now, in the game here, Alireza playing as white, opens 1e4, best by test, and Magnus Carlsen, what does he go for? Well, he goes for the move c5, the Sicilian defense, the sharpest and most combative response to 1e4. In this game, Magnus here is ready for a fight. Now Alireza, knight f3, then e6, and then d4, heading for the open Sicilian. And by the way, this game did take place in the 2023 Julius Baer Cup. Now from here, black takes on d4, white takes back, and then black, knight to c6. This right here is the key move of the Taimanov Sicilian, one of the most flexible and combative lines overall in the entire Sicilian defense complex. Now, from here, black's main ideas include queen to c7, a6, b5, gaining space on the queen side. He might go knight to f6, perhaps bishop b4, maybe even some alpha 0 h5 ideas will be thrown into the mix as the game progresses. Now here, Alireza, he continues, knight to c3, then queen c7, and now here white has a ton, and I do mean a ton of different options. However, in the game, Alireza, he plays the sharpest, strongest, and most confrontational line available to white. He starts with the move bishop to e3. This move right here is the start of the English attack, leading to some of the most complicated, aggressive, and all-out attacking games in all of chess. The idea with this move is very, very simple. White here wants to go queen d2, and then long castles, and then launch all of his pawns up the board on the king side, leading to an all-out attack on the king side for white, and black on the queen side like this. Magnus Carlsen, he knows this. a6, setting up the idea of b5 if he needs it. Very typical Taimanov Sicilian stuff. Now here, the old main line for white, as promised, is queen d2, intending long castles. It's called the English attack, and it is a very, very strong way to play. It was first played versus, say, the Dragon Sicilian, but it has since been played versus many, many other lines, including the Knight of Sicilian and so on. However, here, Alireza on move 7 plays a modern idea. He does not go to He does not go to d2 with the queen. Instead, he goes to a completely different square, queen to f3. Now, this move right here, it almost seems like a beginner idea. Why would you go to the f3 with the queen? Now, this move right here almost seems like a beginner idea. Why on earth would you go to f3 with the queen instead of d2? Well, here's the idea. On f3, the queen, it's very well placed. It supports e4, and it supports g4 ideas on the king side. It also prepares castling long on the queen side immediately. Now, real fast, why on earth would white want to go queen? Now, real fast, why on earth did Alireza do this? Now, real fast, why on earth did white play queen to f3 instead of the standard queen to d2? Well, it's very simple. Queen to f3 has two big advantages. First of all, you are going castling long immediately. Now, real fast, why on earth did white go queen to f3 over queen d2? What is the benefit of this move? It's very, very simple. Both these moves, queen d2 and queen to f3, set up long castles on the next move. However, queen to f3 supports the e4 pawn and sets up g4 advances immediately. There is no need for f3 bolstering e4. Instead, the queen acts like the new f pawn, supporting the e pawn and supporting g4, g5 ideas literally right away. It's just a faster, harder hitting way to play as white from here. Now, in the game, black, knight to f6 is the move. Now, real fast, why on earth did white go queen to f3 here instead of the more standard queen d2? It's very, very simple. This move here, queen to f3, has one big advantage for white. The idea behind it is the queen replaces the f-pawn on the f3 square. After white castles, there is no need for f3 bolstering e4 and bolstering g4. Instead, the queen doubles as a pawn on the f3 square, and therefore white can go g4, then g5, literally immediately. White, with this move, saves one tempo, and that one single tempo is enough to tilt the game in his favor. All right, black here's got many, many responses. He can go b5 or bishop b4, but instead, in the game, Magnus here, knight to f6, playing more of a classical move here. Now, Alireza, long castles, a surprise to literally no one, but the next move by Magnus is in fact a surprise. Actually, the next two moves here. Black, again, has many, many options. Standard here for black is going to be b5, gaining space on the queen side and threatening b4. Also, bishop b4 makes a lot of sense here. However, instead, Magnus in the game plays a completely different idea. He capitalized on the weak placement of the queen on the f3 square, or rather the vulnerable placement, and he plays the move knight to e5, jumping in with the knight, targeting the queen, eyeing the g4 square, eyeing the c4 square, and so on. Black here going for literally immediate counterplay in the center. Okay, the queen, it's under attack. It's got to go somewhere. Where do you go? Again, d2 looks very good, but the queen cannot go to d2 in one move. Instead, queen to g3 was played in the game, trying to pin the knight on the e5 square to the queen on c7. Now, if that knight goes back to, say, c6 or g6, the queen on c7 will fall immediately. However, Magnus, he knows this, and he has an idea in mind for this game. He plays the very, very sharp, aggressive idea of h5. Modern chess at its finest. Magnus here, launching the h-pawn down the board. He's intending h4, trying to push back the queen once again and activating the rook on the ha square. However, there is just one single problem with this move. So far, it all makes sense. The rook active on h8, you target the queen, you activate the h-pawn, and so on. There's just one single problem. Here, in this position, Alireza, he does not play the old main line of f4. That leads to immense complications after f4, knight g4, and then the two main lines, bishop g1 and bishop d2. Trust me on that. That line goes very, very long. It's very complicated. But instead, in the game, Alireza, he plays a move that even Stockfish itself does not understand. And no, I'm not exaggerating. He plays the move here, knight to b5, knight d to b5 to be precise. This move right here is so shocking. The computer Stockfish, the chess engine, it literally does not know what to make of this. Is it a good move? Is it a bad move? It literally cannot figure it out. Trust me on that. The evaluation here is going left and right, up and down, inside and out, every which way you could imagine. What is the idea? Of course, white here is giving up the knight for free. However, if black takes it, white takes back, wins a pawn, and then the dark squares on the queen side here become so vulnerable. And beyond that, the knight on the e5 square is being overloaded. If black takes and white takes back, the queen must maintain defense of the knight on the e5 square. If that knight falls, black will be cooked instantly. Therefore, here, Magnus, he's got to calculate everything out. In the game, he does take the knight. A takes b5, capturing the knight, opening up the a file for the rook. Alireza, he's all in. Knight takes b5. He jumps up, captures the pawn, and of course, Alireza here, he's already consumed 7 out of his 15 minutes on the clock. We're only 11 moves in. Alireza, was this move not opening preparation? Was it over-the-board inspiration? I don't know. Comment down below if you think you know. This may very well be over-the-board inspiration in this game. Truly mind-bending stuff. All right, Magnus Carlsen, the queen is under attack. He's also got to maintain defense of the knight on d6. Therefore, there's only one logical move which defends both. Queen to b8 defends the queen, defends the knight, and keeps Magnus in the game. But here, Alireza, the next strike in his plan, bishop to b6. What is the threat? It's simple. Bishop to c7. Have you ever seen a queen trap quite as devastating as that? If black wastes a move like bishop e7, bishop to c7 will literally trap the queen. That is some mind-bending stuff right there. Of course, Magnus, he sees this. What is he going to do? He starts with the move knight takes e4, jumping in with his knight, gobbling the free pawn, attacking the queen, and therefore there is no time for bishop c7. If you go there, black takes here, and then after capturing the queen, white takes the rook on the h1 square. Sorry, black does. Therefore here, Alireza, he's got to find something else in the game. Queen to e3 is the move, sliding over with the queen and maintaining tension on both of these knights on e4 and the e5 squares. Now, Magnus, how does he want to continue? This position is so complex. Once again, Stockfish itself cannot figure out what to do here for black. It is truly insane. The options are f6, defending this knight, f5, defending this knight, and finally, rook takes a2, threatening the check on the a1 square, blowing open the queen side. In the game, Magnus Carlsen, the greatest player of all time, he takes the pawn on the a2 square, rook takes a2, taking up the gauntlet. Here, Alireza, king b1 is the move, sliding over with the king, stopping any sort of rook to a1 ideas in the future. The rook, it's got to go back. Rook to a4 is the move, defending e4. But here, Alireza, he's got all these pieces on the queen side ready to strike, and here he makes his first big move. Knight to c7, this being of course the entire idea behind the knight sack played earlier in the game, the knight infiltrating on the queen side, checking the king, and here the computer even seems to think taking the knight with the queen sack may actually be one of black's better ideas, if not the best move in this position. Instead, in the game, king to e7 played by Magnus, the Bong Cloud style move. Magnus Carlsen cannot resist playing the Bong Cloud move. By the way, real fast, do you think the Bong Cloud move, king e7, or the queen sacrifice, queen takes c7, is a better option here? Honestly, I'm not so sure. Comment down below if you think you know the solution right here. And by the way, real fast, this video is sponsored by me, Dr. Mike Jansen. If you are tired of watching endless YouTube videos and not making progress, don't get me wrong, I'm very entertaining, but if you're not making any progress watching my videos, I have a solution for you. It's go to drmikechess.com. That is my free online chess community powered by school.com. When you get there, I have so many resources to help you improve. I have a free community, free group coaching calls, free chess courses, free opening courses. I will personally review your games and answer questions daily from everyone in the community. It's really a great place to improve, and my best student so far has gained over 300 points on chess.com in the last 30 days alone. I'm not joking. I have the proof. If you want results like that, join my free community, drmikechess.com. Links also down below in the description and the pinned comment. Here we go. King to e7, the Bong Cloud style move from Magnus. And now, Alireza, the French sensation, the new rival of Magnus Carlsen, once again, he's got to find a very precise move to keep the attack going and to keep the pressure on Magnus. If he fails right here, he will be in for a world of hurt. Now, what are the options? Here, the only two good moves for white are queen to b3 and f3, driving back the knight. Queen b3 in particular is very, very strong, getting the queen out of the way of these knights and attacking the rook and so on. Instead, in the game, Alireza, this move breaks my heart to see it in action. He makes a very, very big mistake. He plays the move rook d4. Now, the idea behind this move, he's trying to relieve the pressure of the rook on the a4 square and activate one more of his pieces. However, Magnus here, he finds the incredibly precise response. He takes on d4, the queen takes, and then he simply goes f6. Ben Feingold's least favorite move ever, defending the key knight on the e5 square, but giving up the knight on e4 in the process, which he kind of had to do. But the fact that he found this way to do it is just mind-blowing. The queen takes on e4, and then Magnus d5, pushing back the queen. Magnus Carlsen, he's currently up material in this game. He's got a giant, massive pawns in the center, and he's pushing back the white queen. Where can it go? It goes all the way back to the e1 square. Queen to e1 is the move in the game, but keep in mind, black here, he's simply up one pawn. Black has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pawns versus the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of white. Beyond that, black has far superior central control and a wonderful knight on the e5 square, not to mention the Bong Cloud king on e7. What more could Magnus ask for in a game? All right, king to f7. The king slides over out of the way of the attacks, and here Alireza being down a pawn, being down the central control, and having very awkward pieces on the queen side, he's got to find some way to strike and to strike now. He does that with the move f4. Alireza pushing back this knight and trying to eye the key f5 advance when the time is right. Now here, Magnus Carlsen finds an absolutely brilliant move. Magnus once again showing his class, showing why he really is the best player ever. And by the way, if you like puzzles, pause the video right now and try to find the key idea for Magnus right here. It is not what it seems at first glance. That is your one hint. The move here for Magnus, bishop to d6. Magnus Carlsen, he identifies the threat, f takes e5, and he ignores it to counterattack on the knight on the c7 square. If white takes on e5, black takes on c7, regains the piece with a wonderful position. Instead here, Alireza, knight to b5. He drops back with his knight, defending knight on c7. He has pressure on that bishop on d6, as well as the knight on the e5 square. Magnus, he's got to do something about this knight right here in the game. Knight c6 was chosen. Now here, g3, defending f4 and trying to blunt the bishop and the queen on this diagonal. Now, bishop d7 is the move. Black finally getting his last piece into the game. Queen d2. The queen comes off the back rank, and Magnus Carlsen, he makes full use of the alpha 0 h-pawn, the move he played on move 9 in this game. It now becomes a useful idea. He plays the move h4. Magnus Carlsen opening up the h-file for his rook. The rook that was left on the h8 square the entire game now enters the game in a hurry. Here, Alireza, he must respond to the threat of h takes g3, and then white cannot take back, as then the rook would be lost. He does that with the move bishop g2, defending the rook, but here Magnus, he simply does not care. He takes on g3, he takes on h1, and then bishop b4 attacks the queen. Magnus fighting for the initiative at all costs. The queen, it slides over to h2. Queen to h2, eyeing the h5 square is the French sensation. Magnus, knight to e7, dropping his knight back, guarding g6 if he needs that square in the future. Alireza, knight d4, centralizing. Now queen d6, Magnus doing the same thing and simply attacking the bishop on the b6 square. Now queen to h5, the queen flies in, attacks the king. The king goes back to the f8 square, but of course it is vulnerable to a future queen to h8 check as well. Here, bishop d8 is the move for Alireza. Alireza trying to put as much pressure on the black position as humanly possible. What is he actually threatening with this move? To be honest, I'm not entirely sure. The knight, obviously, but is there a deeper idea that I'm missing? Comment down below if there's some sort of hidden secret idea that I can't see with my 2000 ELO amateur chess mind. All right, from here, bishop c5 is the move, pressuring the knight. Now, queen to h8, the queen flies in to the back rank, hits the king, and here, knight to f8 is the response by the GOAT. Now, knight b3. Alireza drops back, attacks the bishop. Bishop b6. Bishop takes b6. Queen takes, and then finally f5. Alireza, he is all in on the king's side. He cannot wait. He's got to open up lines, even if it means giving up a pawn in the process. Of course, for right now, if you take the pawn, the bishop takes on d5, and Alireza has the attack on the knight on g8. For example, e takes f5. Bishop takes, and the knight on g8 is under attack, and Alireza is fighting back in this game. Therefore, Magnus, he does not take on f5. Oh no, instead, queen g1 is the move, flying in with his own queen. The king goes to the a2 square, king a2, and black takes on g3. Magnus Carlsen is officially up, let's see, 2 pawns, having the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pawns versus the 1, 2, 3 of Alireza. Things are not looking good for the Frenchman. All right, knight c5. The knight jumps in. Queen d6. Magnus defending. F takes. Bishop takes. And then knight d3 dropping back. Bishop f5 attacks the knight. Queen to h5 attacks the bishop. Knight to e7 defends the bishop. And then we have some more checks. Queen to h8 hits the king. King to f7. Queen h5. Bishop g6 blocks the attack, queen to e2, and then here, queen to a6, flying over, and once again hitting the king. The king goes to b1, king b1, and here Magnus once again showing his class. he decides to simplify to a slightly simpler position. Bishop takes d3. Here's the problem. If you take back with the queen takes on d3, and that endgame is as good as lost. Those pawns on the king side here are simply too strong. Therefore, instead, the Frenchman c takes d3 is the move. The queen goes to e6. Queen to h5. He's avoiding the queen trade. g6. Queen to h7. King to e8. Bishop to f3. King d7. Bishop d1. And then queen to e1. Flying down, pinning the bishop on the d1 square to the king on the b1 square. King c1. The king defends the bishop. Queen to e3. King c2. g5. Magnus pushing the pawns down the board on the king side. Queen to h8. Targets f6. f5 defends the pawn. Queen b8 targets this pawn instead. And once again, black defends. b6. The pawn being supported by the queen. Magnus Carlsen, barely moving a piece, defends everything flawlessly. How does this guy always seem to pull it off no matter what the position? All right, king c3, queen c5, hits the king, king d2, queen b4, king c2, and then g4. And as Epic Chess says, Gary the debt collector marching down the board. All right, king d1, the king slides back, queen d4, targets d3, king to a2, knight to c6, queen b7, king d6, queen to h7, knight b4, hits the king. Magnus Carlsen slowly but surely closing in on his prey being, of course, Alireza Firouzja. All right, king to a3, attacks the knight. Knight takes d3, wins the pawn. Queen to h6, king d5. Black here literally up 3 pawns in the endgame. Alireza doing everything he can to hang on with just 8 seconds left. Queen to h2 hits the king. King to e4, queen g2, king to f4, queen d2, and here, the last final moves. Queen to e3, queen to h2 check, and in this position, despite being the last person to move, Alireza Firouzja, he resigns on the spot. Here's why. The king goes to g5, and after that, there are no more checks. There's nothing you can do, and from here, the knight moves, delivering a check, and things will be fatal. And for that reason here, in this position, Alireza Firouzja, he resigns on the spot to Magnus Carlsen in this simply unbelievable game, starting with the absolutely unthinkable, unplayable, ludicrous knight sack, knight db5, setting the chessboard on fire. All right, Chess YouTube, if you enjoyed this video, please show me some love. Smash that YouTube like button. Comment down below. As you can all see, I'm doing my very, very best to respond to every comment. By the way, you guys are blowing up my comment section right now. I'm getting literally like 100 comments plus per day. It is just insanity. I used to get maybe 10 per day. I don't know what happened, but you guys seem to love me now. This is great. I have the best audience. I love you guys. You know, what else can I say? I absolutely love my audience. And by the way, if you're in my audience and if you're watching endless YouTube videos and you're struggling to improve in online chess, I have the solution for you. Go to drmikechess.com. It is my free online community powered by school.com, SKOOL.com. But anyways, go right there. I have like 400 plus people there right now, all learning, all leveling up. My best student gained over 300 points in the last 30 days, literally on chess.com. It's all documented. He went from below 1,200 to above 1,500 in 30 days. It's just madness. I've got free group coaching, free courses, free opening courses. I'll answer your questions. I'll literally analyze your games for you. I'll give you my group coaching replays. I'll do everything I can to help you level up and get results like my top students. So, what are you waiting for? Go right there. Go to drmikechess.com. It's free to join. Join today or go down below in the pinned comment / description. Links down there as well. So I will see you there. Let's get rocking and rolling. And as always, I wish you the best of luck in your chess improvement journey in 2025 and beyond. And I'll see you in the next video.